Honestly, if you hear Sarah, it really won't matter what I'm going to say, because really they're just looking at her questions, in the blog post, and then they'll forget what I'm talking about anyway. So we just want to make sure we hear her.
No, people watch your videos.
They do?
They watch you. Hey guys, this is our first installment of the Carolina Senior Marketing Podcast. As we go along, we'll probably come up with a better name for that, but right now you're getting the raw, authentic Carolina Senior Marketing. Sarah Henson, the social media specialist, here with our trusted and loyal leader, Dustin Alipore.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
We're here today to talk about how new insurance agents can succeed in the insurance industry. There's a lot to cover in 2024 and a lot down the pipeline for 2025, so I'm glad to have Dustin here to talk about it and really help you guys as insurance agents take your business to the next level.
Yeah, indeed. And thanks for having me. Listen, we are going through some very unique hurdles right now in our industry with changes to potential FMOs and to agencies and compensation and updates coming to how the carriers pay or receive payment from CMS. And so I think we're going to see some plan changes, unlike that we've seen in a long time, coming this next year. So I still think this is a great time to get into the business.
Okay.
There are more people turning 65 in the Medicare space and healthcare space than ever. It used to be 10,000 a day. Now I think it's closer to 11,000 a day. So despite those hurdles and obstacles, I think we're going to get through them. I'm confident. But I think there is no bad time, especially now, to start thinking about this business if you're not in it currently.
Yeah, that's encouraging and exciting too for insurance agents coming onto the field. So let's get right into it. So with that in mind, what's important for new insurance agents to understand about the industry before hitting the ground running?
Yeah, I think if I could give a new person one piece of advice is don't approach this like a sales job. This is different than any other line of business in the insurance space. Obviously, there's all kinds of insurance out there. But really think about this as a service business, right? I mean, that's what we're doing. We are serving, especially the senior market. And so if I can get you thinking of it from a service agenda rather than a sales agenda, I think, honestly, you're going to be successful.
Okay.
Anytime I run into agents that haven't been successful, they approach it very transactional, right? Just like you would if you were selling any other item out there. But because the market is an older market, but the complexities of Medicare take a lot of time and attention, those that came in with a service background or came in with some sort of service experience, they just really thrived. And so I'd say if you can go ahead and change your mindset, come in willing to serve, be a great listener, be more outward focused on results for the customer rather than inward focused on hitting a quota or selling a number of policies or trying to reach some incentive that those carriers are offering. It's almost impossible not to be successful if I can get you to think differently.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
So that might lead us into our next question too. There's a lot of agents in the industry who have a really good book of business. They're trusted and just have a lot of experience as veterans. So for someone who's a new agent or maybe younger in age who might see that as a hurdle to starting, what would be your suggestions for them?
I think you've got a couple options these days. We're having more conversations with our older agent force that really is looking for a great succession plan. And so, I think every business wants a succession plan, but this one is unique because most of our older agents have created such a renewal base and customers that it's easy to create a value of what it's worth and create a realistic expectation of how to manage that business and not lose it. And so I think for the younger agent, I don't know if I've ever seen a better time to come in and partner with an agency or an agency principal who really doesn't have a great option to maybe pass that business on, right? And so if you're younger and you come into the business and you join that agency and you shadow and you learn, what a great opportunity for both of you. You get to learn, you get to take on a business that has already been established, and then for the the senior agent at that office or the principal, it's a great way for them to basically be a mentor and pass on that business. And so I see that as a great opportunity. I think the other is that the technology and the speed at which you can learn our business, because so much of the training is online. You can really, you can just cruise through within 90 days and almost be ready to sell with a few carriers, understand the ins and outs of Medicare, and truly, you're up and running. And just like any insurance business, if you walk into a life insurance shop, they're going to have you write down 100 people that that you're going to go ahead and write down their names and address, phone numbers, and you're going to call them. I think it's the same with this business. You can start to think about who are those seniors that you know in your life. Maybe it's your parents, maybe it's their friends, maybe it's senior communities you interact with. And then you start to think about who are those influencers in your community where seniors hang out, right? Where do they eat? Where do they play pickleball? Where do they work out at? And where can you begin to be an educator in that space, right?
Yeah.
If you go in as a salesperson, I promise you it's not going to work. Most of those places are going to kick you out. But if you go in as an educator, truly caring for the senior and caring for that community, you're going to be embraced. And so definitely some great opportunities this year going forward, just with both of those, whether you're brand new or you're brand new and you want to join an agency.
Great. Yeah. So what I'm hearing is have that hustler mentality, be relational and educational, but also be thinking out of the box and be ready to be creative with whatever you have.
And I think having that hustle mentality, I heard somebody say this not long ago, and it stuck with me, and it was agents don't want leads, they want appointments. And so what that tells me is they don't actually want to go dig and prospect and really find that gem, if you will, and mine for it. They just want the appointments. And so if you're an agent that's willing to dig a little deeper and press through some of the objections of those influencers maybe in town, you're going to be more successful. And so I love that when we find an agent that's willing to go a little further.
That's awesome. Super exciting. Okay, so now thinking maybe more next level, they've got their mentality, they've got their strategy. So what are the most important steps in beginning to build a brand, maybe even getting contracted, things of that sort that are like maybe the more administrative side of the job?
Well, and we'll talk about, obviously what an FMO relationship looks like and having, a great FMO partnership. But I would say, that could be more of a regional partner or a national partner, but who really is going to be your partner at the local level? If I'm brand new to the industry, I need camaraderie. I need knowledge. I need somebody that has a vested interest in me if I'm going to pick up the phone and ask them questions. These days, it's not cut and dry walking into an appointment with someone turning 65 and just assuming within an hour you're going to go through a brochure. There's complexities of group insurance, complexities of if they're a veteran, if they're a state employee, if they're a federal employee, if they delayed their Part B, if their spouse has passed away, if their spouse is still working, if there's group coverage involved. And so it's not that simple anymore. And so you need to have so many appointments, if you will, shadowing type appointments. But on top of that, you need to be able to have a team that wants to invest in you and pour into you. So my first piece of advice is, consider a local agency, right? Look for a local shop. Maybe it's got 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 agents that work in the surrounding counties, and you've got a team there that's available, right? They're vested in your business. And so if you can jump into that, they'll be able to help you with contracting. They'll advise you on the best plans available. They're going to be able to help with that branding, right? And helping you look credible, right? If I go and I start Googling around, and the seniors Google, we know that, just like you and I do, even if it's a personal recommendation, I want to go online and see what are others saying. We could be great friends, and if I'm looking for someone to paint my house and you recommend them, I'm still going to go look at Google. I just want to see, is there consistent feedback in what your experience was like? And so with the senior market, it's just like that. And so if you can be a part of a brand, let's say they've got 10 agents and they've got great notoriety in town, and they've got great reviews online, then you look at their website and there are 5 to 10 agents listed on that website. Automatically, this just looks like a very stable establishment. Right? And so as a senior customer, that's what you want. You want somebody that's trusted and credible. And so look for that smaller agency in town first before you maybe jump and make a phone call to an FMO. Because most of the FMOs are regionally based or nationally based. And so they're not able to get in the trenches with you.
That's a good point. So we've covered a lot just addressing the beginning agent, where they're at in their mentality and where they're at with beginning to create a network in their community of other agents, maybe for mentorship or different things like that. But what would be the most helpful tools and technology that would really help agents set their business apart and create good processes?
Such a good question. And I love it when we have agents that are not scared of trying the technologies and tools out there, because ultimately it just makes you more efficient. Right? And so this idea that we're still using a paper application to, you sit down with, enroll, fill out, go back home, fax in, scan in, upload. It just creates too many opportunities for errors, and then the speed of which that application gets enrolled into the carrier obviously is a lot slower. And so, first and foremost, technology with enrollments, right?
Okay.
And so these days, if you are not using a technology to enroll, some sort of tool like Medicare Center, Medicare App, Medicare Link, or some of the other quoting tools out there, you are behind, right? I mean, over the last 2 to 3 years, we've really seen that this has become the standard. As a matter of fact, this past open enrollment and annual enrollment period, 80% of all of our enrollments were through some digital tool, whether it was a carrier portal tool or one of the ones we offer to our agents.
Yeah.
And so it's so great to see. I mean, we were behind, right? I mean, the property and casualty business has been using digital tools and online enrollment tools for years.
Okay.
We've seen it with health insurance. Medicare has just been, a little slower to adapt. And so I think now more than ever, you absolutely should be using those. And I would say, for the most part, most of those enrollment tools are free. And so if you're paying for those, I would just question why. Like, what are you really getting out of it that you couldn't get from one of your FMO partners or one of the carrier partners?
Yeah.
And so most are free. And I think if you really want to be efficient, if you want to manage your time well, especially during those 54 days during AEP, right? Because it's one thing to enroll them now, but now you've got to review all of them during the annual enrollment period. You have to be efficient.
Yeah.
And so, whatever it takes to manage that time effectively, you're just going to manage a better agency. You're going to be able to grow more.
Yeah.
And you certainly don't want to be behind. And get good news, truly good news. Most of the customers now that are turning 65 have been enrolling through some digital tool, whether it was through employee benefits at work for the last 5 years, or it was through, just buying health insurance on the marketplace over the last 5 years.
Yeah.
And they weren't using paper. And so they're slowly getting more acclimated to this as well, and truly expecting it. So it makes it easier for us.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I feel like that maybe a few extra hours or days on the front end, just setting those processes up will be really helpful in the long term, because AEP is long, and want to make sure it's organized as possible and efficient.
Well, we talk about the enrollment tools, right? That's one part of it. The other is just business tools. And so we have a whole portfolio of tools we recommend, and I know several FMOs recommend and agencies recommend things that you use to run your business. Maybe it's for your call service, maybe, or for your phone service. Maybe it's for using doing webinars and Zoom calls. Maybe it's call recording, right? It could be, how do you manage your calendar so it's not on a paper calendar and there's multiple team members that have access to it? Or how do you set up a calendar so that customers can tap into it and select time slots? It could be email tools, right, to be able to communicate, texting tools as reminders, right? There's all these things out there. A lot of them are free. If they're not free, they're very inexpensive. And so you throw in ways to manage your business with effective tools, and then you throw in enrollment platforms, and you are far beyond the average agent. And so, I think don't be afraid of that stuff. Try it out. Ask around. That's one of the benefits of joining, I think, an agency, is they're already using those tools, and they can speak to that. They can attest to those things that work really well, and they create processes for efficiencies in their businesses. And as well as working with an FMO, it's one of the things that we spend a lot of time on is, exceptional service, creative partnership, and creative marketing, but also just innovative opportunities. And so how do we take that and really help the agent be the most innovative agent in the field these days? And so tools and platforms are a way to do it.
Yeah. That's really absolutely true. And I feel like, even from my job too, just experiencing agents who really enjoy those tools, hearing about a CRM maybe for client upkeep, it's just, it pays off massive dividends. So
absolutely.
Our last question here today, we've talked a little bit about FMOs, but how does an FMO meet the need of a new agent particularly, but also seasoned agents too? Yeah,
that's a good question. It's, I think there's a lot of conversation about what value does an FMO bring, especially with everything going on with CMS right now. And say, I can speak to us, Carolina Senior Marketing, to a lot of that. I can't speak to every FMO out there. There's a lot of us. I think the biggest thing is for us, we are truly that intermediary for you, the agent, and the insurance industry, right? And so you may be on LinkedIn and you may be on Facebook and you may follow some blogs and some websites to try to keep up with the industry, but we're going to know first. We're going to know from the carriers, from CMS, from our senior FMO partners, really where's the industry going? Where's the ship turning and being steered towards? And so we're going to be able to speak to all of those challenges much faster and with good clarity and advice on how does this affect your business and how to approach these obstacles you may face and opportunities that come before you. For example, when call recording came out, it put everybody into a panic, right? We heard about it first through our partners and CMS, and then our partnership with Integrity allowed us to basically pass on the tools at no cost, whereas some agents were already thinking about paying for services through their phone systems or using what the carrier portals offered, and it just wasn't as efficient, right? And so they before they knew it, they had platforms all over the place, and nothing was really synced together in one place to manage their business. And so I think we're gonna have the education, we're gonna have the industry knowledge. We're going to be able to give so many tools to the agents and anticipate what those needs are and build them. That's the thing about it. If you get rid of FMOs, who's paying for these tools, right? This stuff's expensive. Millions of dollars to build these platforms, right?
Yeah, it is.
And so who's going to pay for those things? And so at our level, we're not going to pay for them at that level. Somebody's got to build it. And so it's helpful to have the big folks involved that can pass those things down to us so that we can share them. And so at our level, we're going to be probably well in tune with how to find your customers, maybe better than some of the bigger players out there, because we're deeply involved with agents in about 32 states. And so we understand the state dynamics of the plans and where to find those prospects. And we have heat maps of everybody turning 65. So from an education perspective, to the tools, to lead generation and prospecting, it's almost like we sit in a war room here, and we can kind of look at everything at 30,000 feet and understand what does the agent need and how do we help them be equipped. And so without an FMO partner, or if you go directly to a carrier, or you don't have a partnership with an agency, honestly, it's a lot of work on you unnecessarily. So, yeah.
Well, guys.
Yeah, hey, listen, great conversation. Us here at Carolina Senior Marketing, this is coming up on our 16th AEP in 2024, and we're always growing, I feel like, right? And we're adding new team members here to help us meet the needs of our agents. We are continuing to look for more technology. We're dabbling in, how do we use AI for different things? How do we approach CMS obstacles? How do we go about sort of that changing dynamics of the senior customer with our lead generation tools? Whether they're meetings, whether they're mailings, whether it's email, whether it's text, and so it's always moving. We're always moving forward. And they say if you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards. And so
that's right.
We got a great team here, and we love our agents, right? We got great partners here that trust us, and so we want to keep doing this for a long time.
Yeah, our agents are the best.
Yeah.
Well, thanks everyone for tuning in, and thanks Dustin for being on our first installment of the Carolina Senior Marketing podcast. There's no other way to ring it in than with Dustin Alipore himself. And thanks to our live audience for participating today. That was really fun to have you guys. And we'll be back with more soon, so be sure to like and subscribe below.
Yeah, great questions. Thanks.